early 20th century, physicists have been, like Max Planck and Einstein and any number of physicists have been positing that consciousness is causative of physical reality, that consciousness comes first before physical reality has been manifested. I'd like to hear if you have any comment about that.
I'll need a few minutes for this question.
Yes, please.
I'm sure, at least when you were in school, you blew some soap bubbles, did you? Soap bubbles?
Yes.
Somebody got this big bubble, somebody got that big bubble, somebody got this big bubble. Same soap, if you give it to two people, one person blows that big bubble, another person gets only this big bubble. Hasn't it happened? Yes. Because something so simple as blowing a bubble needs a certain dimension of attention. Those who have the necessary attention can blow that big bubble. Those who don't have, they get these tiny bubbles going. Something's that simple, same soap. So, when my bubble is floating and your bubble is floating, that's my bubble, this is your bubble, clearly there. Then of course, after some time it goes poop. When it goes poop, there is no such thing as my air and your air. But when it was encased in the bubble, 100% my bubble and your bubble.
Yeah.
Just like that, this bubble and that bubble. Now, whether you got to blow a big bubble or a small bubble determines many things. The scale, scope and profoundness of your life simply depends on how much life you captured. You can call it life or you can call it consciousness. Consciousness is a highly corrupted word, particularly in California, because people are using that for just about everything. But they will continue to use that word because I'm trying to reclaim it. We can call it life also because the only reason… Right now, are you alive? Hello, all of you?
Yes.
Some of you are not saying anything, I'm asking you. Are you alive?
Yes.
How do you know you're alive? Now stop your breath for a minute, are you still alive? So, how do you know you're alive? You're conscious, isn't it? Suppose you became unconscious, would you know you're alive? No. So the only reason that you know you're alive and you're alive is because you're conscious. So what you call as consciousness or what you call as life are not two separate things. So, I did not know about physics talking about consciousness. I knew Einstein said something vaguely because I'm, as you see, I'm unschooled. So I did not go as far as Einstein to study physics, but I paid attention to this piece of life. I paid attention in such a way, as I paid more and more attention, I realized that the problem is in the nature of our faculties. See, right now, if I show you my hand, if you see this part of my hand, you cannot see this part of my hand, isn't it so? If you're hearing sound, you cannot sense the silence. If you're in silence, you cannot feel the sound. If you're in light, you cannot feel the darkness. If you're in darkness, you cannot feel the light. The human faculty of sense perception, of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching, this is how you know life. All these things are always happening in comparison with something else. Comparison means, what you know by comparison is good enough for survival, but not good enough for knowing the nature of what it is. This is the problem that modern science is struggling with and will continue to struggle with Unless, I'm very glad to hear that early 20th century they said consciousness is the basis, but still we are in early 21st century, but still we have not moved towards consciousness, we are still studying physical things forever. People are studying the brain. I was with that European project called Blue Brain and they're building a huge massive computer brain, which is like about 3 times this hall, full of computers, and they had built some 18% of the human brain. I said, see, I got all packed here. You guys, such a big thing. No, we're studying, that is fine. You are very excited about the intelligence and the million functions that are happening in your brain. But even the brain was created from within, from the bread that you eat, isn't it so? Hello? Even the brain. Why are you not interested in that which creates the body and the brain? Definitely it's more intelligent than the brain, isn't it? So, if you want to put a label on that, we can call it consciousness. I generally just call it life. Or if you want to call it God, you can call it. You want to call it the creator, you can call it. Because today there are gender issues, we will stick to life. So, life is not, as we went through this, when it comes to body and mind, there is you and me. When it comes to life, there is no you and me. This is a living space. We just captured a little bit. So this is going on. If we lose this ability to hold it, even if everything, all the organs in your body are functioning, still you will not live, isn't it? People do die of old age even if they don't have any disease or ailment, because life chooses to leave for whatever reason. So, what you're referring to as consciousness is definitely the basis of all physical existence. Well, modern physicists have gone on to say that over 99.999 whatever number of nines in an atom is empty. It's empty space. Only a minuscule is physical. This is the same proportion approximately even in the cosmos, that over 99% plus is empty, only physical manifestation is very small. If you look up in the sky in the night, because your visual apparatus are in a certain way, which are very deceptive, it makes you think, oh my God, millions of stars. But actually, the largest thing out there is empty space, isn't it? Most people will never see that because our visual apparatus are tuned to see physical matter. You can only see that which stops light. Please look at this carefully. You can see my hand right now only because it stops light, isn't it? If my hand allowed light to pass through, you wouldn't see. Right now there is something here very vital for your life that you're not seeing, which is the air that you breathe. You cannot see, but isn't that more important than my hand? Hello? Yes. So there is a living cosmos which is the basis of everything. It's just thrown out a little bit of physical matter, including your little body. But we have gotten so identified with this physicality, its form and its shape, and now the gender of it has become a big deal. Because of that, we are seeing life in a very small way. The 99.9%, is that life or the 0.1% is life? Please tell me. The bigger thing, isn't it? This is just a small manifestation, but we are still very juvenile as a species. In the sense, we are still… when I say juvenile, when we are adolescent, body parts are important. Yes or no? We are still, as a humanity, we are still in that condition. Body parts are super important. This is why spiritual process is important. When I say spiritual, once again, this is another most corrupted word on the planet. If I say spiritual, people are thinking looking up, looking down, looking at heaven, whatever, no. Spiritual means your experience of life has transcended the limitations of physiological and psychological process, which is what you are saying the physicists also said. That's very wise of them, that without experience, with inference, they are saying that we acknowledge their intelligence, but after 1 century, we are still not there as a race, as a human species. But one thing I must share with you here is, I was just telling Nicholas, which came back to me because he asked some question. See, when I started doing this work 36, 37 years ago, what I found was when I conducted events and programs, over 82 to 85% of the people came because of physical ailments, because they knew this will give relief. Only 12 to 15% of the people came there, want to know something, experience something. But today, over 87, 88% of the people come because they want to know something, experience something. Only 10 to 12% of the people come for ailments, which is a phenomenal shift in the human society.